You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We're live here at paceradio.net, as well as 420pace.ca, and our social media locations as well. Good evening, Tamara. How are you doing tonight?
I'm okay. How are you doing, Al?
I'm not doing too bad. Staying busy, which is the important thing. Doing things.
Doing stuff.
Whatever. I'm involved in something, some editing or whatever. But staying busy, and then getting outside in the cooler weathers. It's cold, but it's fresh.
Yeah. No, I try and get out at least once a day. Well, I have to go to the animals and back. So it's chilly here too. We've got some snow, and it's winter. Right. I don't know if anybody expects we wouldn't have snow and it wouldn't be cold. It's winter.
Well, it's Canada, right? So you gotta expect it, eh?
Absolutely. But yeah, no, just kind of gearing up for Christmas. Well, not so much because, like I said, we don't per se celebrate Christmas, but trying to gather some things for some donations for the substitution program, specifically for Christmas this year. Where last year I didn't really, but now that I've got a set group of 27 people that I'm specifically helping, I know how many women I've got and how many men I've got. So right now I'm on a purse kind of campaign, looking for purses and women's toiletries, and then we're going to fill men like socks. I'm going to go to a dollar store and grab some just Christmas socks and fill them with socks and men's toiletries, and of course, the regular cannabis and have them all in the next next weeks or so. So that's the same old grind. Send me stuff.
Where shall they send it, or how do they get a hold of you?
So if you want to PM me, I'll give you my address. I'm not going to do that, but you can always e-transfer cash donations to tamaralee9@hotmail.com, and all the money that I make from my gummies and my candy also goes to the cannabis substitution program. So if you'd like to purchase some of those, you can also get a hold of me through that email and order some candy.
Yeah, we got candy also down the road for you.
Candies, gummies, fudge, cookies. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And all that money goes to the program. So.
Yeah. Tonight we've got two guests. Both are patients. One is an artist. The other, I call him an author because he's actually written two books. He's an author.
Humanitarians, long-term activists.
Yes.
Jack of all trades, artists on all levels, and just extraordinary people that have overcome so much. And we've known them probably. Well, I know I've known them for 20 years. So
it's
having that, but they've overcame a lot of things and continue on with their journey. So it's always a pleasure to have them on and catch up with them and find out what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, why don't we just bring them into the show?
Sounds like great fun.
They're here. They're going to tell their story. Plus, they're going to tell us and everybody else how they can read about their story, read all about it, because, as I mentioned, author, right? So, right. So, we'd like to welcome Christine Lowe and Russell Barth to the Pace Radio Show. Hello, guys. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having us on. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for coming on to the show and talking to our viewers about what you guys are doing and what you have done over the past along the ways of cannabis advocacy. Because what I find is that so many of us, we have our we come in, we're in the new, there's a lot of stuff that we're all involved in, and then we sort of start to get to a point where the next wave of people start coming in, and I see that some people at times they're, I'm not going to really say forgotten, but, now they've just been in so long that, it's just new people just never have heard of it.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I find that a lot of our work from those days is forgotten anyway.
Correct.
People don't realize how pot became legal in Canada, that the government was forced to do it because the law fell apart and it was the Wild West. And they had to figure something out quick, because
Exactly.
they're opening up all over the place with zero regulation.
Well, that's the thing. I think that people kind of skip over the Terry Parker ruling too, right?
Well, it all started with the Parker ruling, and then
Right.
Terry Parker to all these other legal battles that have gotten us to where they came up with this, right?
11 court rulings. Well, there's other court rulings too, but they weren't really substantial. There's basically a total of 11 that were the big chops that took the tree down. Parker, Hitzig, and then 9 more, and then the thing just fell over.
Well, never mind. How many letters to the editor did you write and have published over the years? Russell was like relentless.
Non-stop.
2006, I had him critiquing mine, so we get as many letters to the editors published back then, right?
I think I had 830 in 8 years.
830 letters published
in Canada in 8 years. I had a couple.
Now, was it just me, or were you actually labeled North America's #1 letter writer to the editor?
I think I'm the most, as far as I know, I'm the most published letter to the editor writer in Canadian history. I'm the biggest crank this country's ever put out.
He was also
there's 3 guys from the States who are ahead of me. There's Robert Sharp and Stan White and somebody else.
Sharp, that's right. I remember that.
I'm in 4th place in the world. So
yeah,
he also deemed the angriest pothead too.
Yeah, well, that happened by accident. We were after I did the human rights complaint. That was on the John Oakley show.
Okay, yeah.
And right after that was in the news and everything, and they had me on with Ezra Levant.
Oh.
And Ezra was just a pissy little bitch like always. And so they were like, man, this guy was fun. Like, we're gonna have him on again. So I get a call one morning. They're like, hey, there was the thing. Some mayor said something, or a politician did something, or there's I forget what it was. Do you want to come on and comment? I said, oh, okay, sure. So then this went on for every month I was on. And it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, and the phone would ring. It was the only 416?
416.
It's the only 416 person I knew was going to call me at 6 o'clock in the morning, because everybody else who was going to call me at 6 o'clock in the morning lived in Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, it's him. So I'm like, I pick up the phone one morning and I go, hey, Victor. And he's like, hey, Russell, the angriest pothead in Canada. I went, oh, that's funny. Oh, we got to use that. Because like Emery with the print, yeah, we got to use that. Tell John about that. We're going to use that on the air. That's hilarious. Like, it was always tongue in cheek. It was never meant as a serious thing. So then he started introducing me as the angriest pothead in Canada. I thought it was great.
But there was also a YouTube video that was that you and Christine did explaining epilepsy, and that was also super instrumental with explaining education, medical cannabis to people with hits on that YouTube video that you had produced, as well as, and then we'll roll into the first book that you wrote, which was Mummy's Funny Medicine.
Yeah. Well, it started, Mommy's Funny Medicine came out first. And this is part of what I talk about in my the memoir there, Outlaw Patients. And we were talking to some woman on the street. She had a wheelchair, I had a wheelchair. We were commiserating about the state of the sidewalks and the lack of courtesy from people. And so we said, oh, you ever tried medical cannabis? She's like, oh, no, it's bad as heroin, that stuff. And she's all fussy about it. So we're like, whatever. So as we're walking away, one of us said to the other, we don't remember which one, someone should write a children's book or something. Because this woman was like, oh, what would I tell my grandson? Mm-hmm. So a little while later, I was on the phone with my mom, who was down in Florida. And I was telling her, listen, we're going to do a thing on CTV News pretty soon. I'm going to be smoking weed on TV. So, be ready for that. Sorry if it causes any embarrassment or what. I didn't really care if it did or not, but I'm like trying to be courteous to them anyway. And so we did. We hung up the phone, and I'm like, how am I even going to broach this topic with my father? Like, it's crazy. It's like someone needs a children's book. Like, look, see, Russell's sick. See, Russell used weed and feel better. And then we went, and we looked at each other, and our mouths just fell open. We're like, oh my God, that's what we have to do. A children's book. Holy shit. So then we wrote the text right away. Like, it took us like 30 minutes because all we did was extrapolate from my life. That was
before AI, like long before AI. In fact, I think that was before like you still have like
2003. Yeah, that came out in April 2003.
Like you said you wrote it in like 10 minutes, but Christine, you've been quiet there. You do the illustrations. And you did the illustrations for that book, Mummy's Funny Medicine, right?
Yes. It was a wonderful time rendering all the illustrations for the book to be able to bridge the gap between finding a voice of explanation as well as a visual way of seeing things. And I tried to make something that would come across as being very simple, but it would also be just enough that it would capture your imagination a little bit further. So I'm hoping that when people read the book, read the story about Mommy's Funny Medicine, that it will bridge the gap between all the questions that are left today.
That's what as we came up with the story, which we talked for, like I said, about 30 minutes or whatever, because there's not a lot of words in the book.
No.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say it's more like you said, it's a children's book. Like it's more like pictures per page, and there's a few words on each page.
It kind of explains what's going on,
Yeah.
And basically, I'm mommy in the book. And Christine is Heather because she's watching all of this go down, right? So that thing where she's in the car, watching mommy puke in the parking lot of the restaurant, that nearly happened to me one time. I went to Red Lobster with my parents and her, and we had a nice time. We had some Red Lobster. I was feeling fine. I got outside, and I was just like, oh God, oh no. And I bent over and I started to retch, and my parents were like, what the hell? And I'm just like, and Christine's like, yeah, it happens sometimes. Just wait and see. And I didn't puke, but I was down on one knee, man. Like my head was spinning, my ears were ringing, just these nausea attacks.
Right, exactly.
And, so we just went, oh, we'll just do this. We'll just do this. Like, we'll just add all these bits from my life,
Right.
So now we did quick sketches. Like I did these quick sort of like storyboard ideas. And then when Christine started drawing it, I said like simple, simple, simple. Yellow Submarine, Flintstone simple. Not a lot of cross hatching, not a lot. We'll colorize it. We'll do shading with color and stuff. Just give me the line work. So, and Christine liked to do a lot of detail and stuff. Usually, I'm like, no. Dial it way back. This is a kid's book.
Well, again, we're talking prior to legalization. We're talking like free. Again, this was something that talking about cannabis at all. Never mind cannabis medical with your child. Because at that point in time, they were still putting people in jail and taking children away from their parents for using cannabis.
Like this book's almost 25 years old.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, it's 2022.
23.
It'll be 23 in April. Yeah.
Yeah.
So back in those days, like I said, back then they were still taking children away from their parents.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
For using cannabis as medicine. So it was such an iconic book to come out at the time, and it's so timely that it can be used over and over again now because legalization, and there's so many people now that the stigma is finally starting to sway a little bit. So I think this book again should be reintroduced for people to use because there are so many moms now that are choosing to use cannabis rather than a glass of wine. And normalizing cannabis more than alcohol, right?
Now you've also released Mummy's Funny Medicine in a video format as well, correct?
Well, yeah, we put the video up many years ago, so people can, they can do a read through. It's a read through video with Christine narrating. But we had that book. Mike Foster printed that that he published that. He had it printed for us in 2003. We still have
Crosstown.
probably 14 or 1,500 copies upstairs because we didn't have the financial wherewithal to start like disseminating this to libraries all over the country. And
I've got a copy that I used when I was going to non-cannabis events with Treating Yourself magazine.
yeah,
And afterwards, even after the magazine done, and I was still doing farmers markets or doing different type of shows with candidates at the time.
I think during the break, I think mine's just sitting over here on the shelf.
Yeah.
I'll have to look. If it,
Now,
hoping it
now-
is, then I'm gonna have to dig, and now I'm gonna be on a mission.
Exactly. Now, I want to get into your story as far as your personal stories too, but I want to stick on the books right now. Now, you went from Mummy's Funny Medicine. We've gone, like I said, 22 years, 23 years, and now you've written a second book, and this one is
it's a memoir. Pretty much like, when we were teenagers. I don't know about Christine, but when I was a teenager, I read quite a few biographies. Jim Morrison, the Beatles, whatever.
Yeah.
So we used to joke amongst ourselves. Whenever something funny or weird would happen, one of us would say something like, "Oh, that's going in the memoir," or "That'll be good for the autobiography," or something like that. Just any kind of quirky thing that would happen. Most of them are completely forgettable now, but it was a kind of a running gag with me and my friend David. Like, "Oh, that's going to be in the book." So when we started doing activism and everything, once we got a few years into it, especially when we got to the human rights complaint and everything, and we noticed that whenever we would meet new people and talk to them and tell them about our lives, "Oh, Christine has epilepsy and I got out of a wheelchair and stuff," the reaction was always the same, which was just, their mouths would fall open. They go, "My God, your life is insane." It's like, yeah, well, it's, and they're like, "You guys should make a book or something. Like, it should be a movie." So we thought, I guess.
Now, this book I see on the cover right here, written without AI.
Yeah.
Now, when I was talking to you about it before, I said written without Al, right?
Al.
Which, because as you know, I have written yours,
this is true.
an article
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah.
So,
but
written without Al. This is without AI. This is something that you actually sat down and
memoir. It's the second memoir I wrote because in about 2015, I thought, well, I should start writing this. And I had a friend who worked for, at the time, she used to work for Chapters. She used to read like 6 or 7 books a week.
Mm-hmm.
She could speed read, like one of those just down the page.
Oh yeah,
like that. She could read like that since high school. Yeah. She learned how to do that. So she's like, yeah, you should write your memoir, like, because that's a story that people would probably, want to read. So I thought, okay, well, before we get to the pot activism stuff, we got to try to explain who we are,
Yeah.
So a little bit of backstory is important. So, well, actually, to explain me, you kind of have to go back and explain my parents, because my life has been weird since before the beginning. So I did a bit of backstory about my parents and a bit of backstory about myself and my childhood, my teen years, and my rough time during my 20s. And then I get to the point where I'm 32. I haven't written anything about pot activism. I've mentioned cannabis many times because I used it as a teenager a bit. Haven't written anything about Christine except the chapter where I met her the first time. And I realized, wow, this is getting pretty long. So I look up what's the typical length of a memoir. And it's between like 80 and 100,000 words or something, 60 and 100,000 words. Mine's already 76,000 words. I'm like, oh, this thing's going to be 200,000 words by the time I'm done. No one's going to buy it or read it. What the hell am I going to do with this?
Yeah, you've got a long story.
So I shelved it. And well, yeah, I do. It's kind of like Marcel Proust, right? He wrote this one, this à la recherche de temps perdu, in search of lost time. And it's 1.2 million words long. The guy basically wrote 12 memoir about his life.
Couldn't you just make it into like a 3 or 4 part series? You know,
I
like
could, but the thing is, when I started writing it again, I thought I want to stick to the cannabis activism. That's the hook of the story. That's what people want to know about. Because I didn't become a big enough celebrity that people want to read my whole life story.
Crap.
Right? Maybe I will after this book. Who knows? But what people want to know about is they're like, yeah. What about the pot activism stuff? Tell us about the 420. Tell us about your growers and shit. You know, that's what people want to hear about. So they don't really want to hear about us, except, well, why are you like this? So, you know, the first 2 chapters, like it's 11,000 words or so, explain all the abuse and shit she went through and all the weirdness I went through and injuries and accidents. You know, I was in a forced landing in an airplane in a Cessna 150.
Oh.
You know? Yeah, my father and I were in this plane, and the fuel wasn't getting to the engine, so we had to land in a field we'd never seen before with a completely dead engine.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah, it was a perfect landing. Like it took, like the plane took a little bit of a hit, but we were fine. But it's as scary as you think it is. It's just as scary as you think it is.
Right?
Yeah, it is. Just thinking that you.
Can I swear on this? Sorry, I keep swearing.
Yeah, well, we were talking about that there last week, about the fact that the way you would express things, between friends,
So this thing screwed up my back. And where's my dogs? Lola, Kiki, come here. Kiki, Lola.
Oh, yeah. The dogs are part of the program as well. That's right.
You don't have a choice. Because this one's always sitting behind me. So
before we get too far into this book, the name of it again is Outlaw Patients.
Outlaw Patients.
And it's available on Amazon, right?
It's available on Amazon and a bunch of other places. What's wrong?
Can you get it through Audible?
Yes, Audible. It's still gotta get it running. Some alcohol. That's
where I'll probably do, because because of my this attention deficit monkey I've got in my back, I find that when I read, it's like I don't comprehend so much. Like I read so fast.
Sure, but the audiobook, get her off of there.
Audiobook for me is
coming. It's coming. It's gone through the.
Stick it in my ears, not if I go, right?
Well, I put it in audio is a website you can upload your audiobook to. So now they are okay with it. It passed their muster. So now it's going to Audible and other places.
Oh, perfect.
To see if that it should be fine.
Good.
Yeah. It sounds a little. I don't sound like I'm in a foam room. I sound like I'm at a desk. Wow, but the bit rate and everything's fine. Like it's
right. But no, I just like I said, I just find like with Audible, like I read more. Like even though I'm not physically reading, but I find like if I'm
reading it in.
With the attention deficit, I've just found that I learn better through ear rather than in front of me. I don't have to go back and reread it. And then
I can read faster than I can listen to an audiobook.
I can too, but I don't comprehend as well. And that's the thing, like I read too fast, so that I'm not comprehending it, and I gotta go back. So yeah, if I hear it, it sticks easier.
She's having a seizure.
Yeah.
So I have put the link, the Amazon link for the book.
It's also on a bunch of other places: Barnes and Noble, Apple Books, Google Play. Yeah, if anybody just Googles Outlaw Patients, they'll find it.
They'll find it. Okay, good.
So yeah, she's
I used some of the description here. I'll read it. Outlaw Patients, is they say here in the description. I'm gonna bring it up.
Do you have to go, Russell, or
no, that's fine.
Okay. Christine's having a seizure.
Nothing I can do about it. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
She'll be back in a little. She won't be able to talk for the rest of the interview, but.
No, she'll be all right.
She'll be okay.
All right. Are you okay there, Christine?
It's okay. She can't hear you.
Okay. It says here that Outlaw Patients is a raw, darky, funny, and brutally honest memoir of a man who spent 2 decades navigating the impossible crossroads of pain, politics, and prohibition. When doctors, politicians, and cops failed him, the law itself turned on him, and he fought back. Russell Barth and his wife Christine Lowe were among Canada's most outspoken medical cannabis patients and activists. What began as a personal struggle for pain and relief became a national battle against bureaucracy and healthcare system, and often preferred punishment over compassion. From police rage to courtroom absurdities, from the trenches of Parliament Hill to the quiet desperation of chronic illness, Barth exposes a world where sick people can be treated like criminals simply for trying to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hoping, I wrote it with professors and their students in mind. Like when I was writing this from June through September, at first I was putting all of my personal spice into it, you know, referring to Stephen Harper as a demon wizard, things like that, you know. And then I went, stop. She'll fiddle with everything. So she's taking her foot and she's trying to grab the wire with her toes.
That's okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So she does post seizure. She gets really goofy. So I thought, well, you know, if I clean this up and I take away all my personal hyperbole and made it straight reportage, a little bit of humor in it, but mainly straightforward, then I can present it to professors who will be able to confidently assign it to their students. Right. You know, because this is, rather than my personal memoir and my thoughts and feelings about things, it's more, this is what happened.
Correct.
This is what happened to us. This is what we were thinking and feeling at the time, but this is the shit we had to go through, and this is why. So these are the choices we made. And it, I think that's going to make it a lot more appealing to professors, and then they'll, you know, assign it to their students.
Right.
And it's not just law, it's history, sociology, medical, there's about 10 different disciplines of academia that could potentially add this book to their syllabus.
I think there should be the anthropology of cannabis community. The cannabis
anybody who's
studied at a academic level, because the difference in how it's changed and evolved from the very beginning of reefer madness in the 20s through the evolvement, you know, of the culture through the 60s, through the 70s, and how it's evolved into legalization and to medical patients being able to use through the states, and, you know, with legalization throughout the world. And the evolution of the cannabis culture would be, I think, a great academia myself.
It's a personal account of a historical situation.
Exactly.
It's exactly the kind of thing that is like. So, so that's, I'm hoping I think that's going to be the bread and butter of my sales in the years moving forward.
Now, how like you described Mummy's Funny Medicine as something that was a few words on a page with an illustration. Is this more like a regular standard book where it's all full of words?
There's no photos in it. It's a standard kind of, you know, biographical memoir.
Yeah.
Like you'd read about, you know, one good example is the book by Sting, Broken Music, where he talks about his childhood and his early band that he was in before it ends right where he sort of gets involved with the police. Right. So, but that's a polished, edited kind of, hey, little dogs, come here. You all right? It's a polished, edited kind of thing. You know, they're trying to like, hey, isn't Sting cool? Whereas this is a lot more raw and confessional. You know, we talk about things that are not that flattering, and I'm
sure you do.
Real and raw, right? Like, most people want it real and raw, especially when it's memoir.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, I'm not one that's easily embarrassed. So, you know, we talk about the things we did and go through, and you know, some of it, like some people might be scandalized by it. You know, they can clutch their pearls all they want, but we looked at it like the law was in a weird position at the time. So people were like, "Oh, well, you're selling surplus to the public or whatever." It's like, yeah, that's what growers did. It was either that or we had nothing. You know, we couldn't afford to buy
to be able to pay the hydro bill in order to pay for their own meds.
Exactly. You know, and the situation. we made those choices, but those choices were limited by the situation that was offered.
Yeah.
If we were wealthy, we could have just bought a house and grown weed quietly by ourselves and not had to do any of this stuff.
Right.
Exactly.
If our parents were rich, they could have just bought weed for us from one of the compassion clubs or something.
Okay, it's about the hour. We've talked briefly about both books. What I want to do when we come back from the break is basically go back from the beginning. Your situation, you mentioned the wheelchair. You can explain, why you're in the wheelchair, what you did to get out of the wheelchair, as well as Christine's story. All right. Okay, and all that you mentioned, the human rights case and all that stuff. We'll be able to go through it all. All righty. Okay. Other than that, it's break time, as I mentioned. When we get back, we'll continue our discussions with our guests, Russell Barth and Christine Lowe. You're watching the Pace Radio Show. We're live here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Rerolled Saturdays. Check it out. Nothing but non-stop cannabis and psychedelic programming. Find it at 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
All right, we're back. We're live. You're watching the Pace Radio Show, and we have our guests, Christine Lowe and Russell Barth, here with us. And I see Tamara is just running back to her spot.
I went to go make some tea, and my tea kettle usually turns itself off, and it just boils itself dry. So yeah.
You burnt the water.
There's no water to burn it.
It's what I call you burning your water.
Yeah, I burnt the water. So yeah.
All right. Okay, in the first segment, we're talking to Russell and Christine about their books, Mummy's Funny Medicine, and their newest release, Outlaw Patients, a Medical Marijuana Memoir. Now I want to get into the actual story. The beginnings of your cannabis. Why you're using cannabis. The two of you, as you mentioned in the first segment there, Christine was dealing with a seizure.
Yeah, she just had a mild one a little while ago, so she's kind of, 50% operating system loaded up there. But how it started was we went to a thing in 2002. It was the Million Marijuana March, which wasn't really a march. It was basically 200 people or so gathered on the front lawn of Parliament Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's kind of sitting in the grass, and they had a, one like guitar amp with a microphone kind of thing. And people talked and we listened. And there was one we really remembered was like a nurse who goes to people's houses to help old people, and
personal service work,
care worker. Yeah.
PSW.
And she was standing on the steps there at Parliament, and she said, I got to smoke weed every day to deal with like the early onset symptoms of MS. So if I don't use it, I can't work. If I can't work, I can't feed my daughter. So, and then she's like, so if these assholes want to put me in jail for that, they can go right ahead and try. And then she just kind of drops the mic on the thing and walks off kind of in a huff. So we're like, wow, interesting. Like we never heard anybody talk about stuff like this before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, I'm doing something at the computer, and Christine's sitting out on the balcony just staring out over the city, which was uncharacteristic at the time. It wasn't something she was, and after about, 6 or 7 hours of this, I thought, okay, this is not good. Something bad's going to happen. We just moved in here a little while ago. Like, what is she going to want to move out? I don't understand. So I said, so what's all this? And she's like, well, I've been thinking after yesterday and everything, I've been thinking I want to quit my pharmaceuticals and just start using cannabis. So I said, okay, well, I can understand that. She's like, they're killing me. The drugs are killing me. I'm not going to live much longer like this. Like I'm bloated and I'm sick all the time. Like I'm going to die. I don't want to live like this. So I may as well try cannabis. And I said, okay, well, if we're going to do that, we got to start a compassion club or something with this guy out west. And this is when Phil Lucas just got acquitted, right? It was so everyone was talking about that. So I said, we're going to do like this guy Lucas out west, start a compassion club or something. We'll talk to Mike about it, because I can't run around in the cracks of this city in a wheelchair. Yeah,
now you're in a wheelchair, and why were you in a wheelchair?
Well, I had fibromyalgia, but I also have like a leg that's a half inch too short. So my spine is kind of crooked. And what happened was on November 30th of 2001, because that was 2002. So 2001, we went out to an appointment for her, and I got a back spasm in around here, sort of T7 and T8. They go out of alignment in relation to the rib nearby.
Okay.
So it's not just the spine gets out of alignment, the rib cage in proximity to it. So I had a terrible pinch and a spasm, and it was just giving me pain. I could barely breathe. So I took some drugs and everything. And then we were walking, and it was freezing rain. So we're kind of like this. And she's kind of walking ahead of me, just trying to get to the bus stop so we can get home. And I'm stumbling from a fire hydrant to a parking meter to a bus shelter, and just holding myself up. And it just feels like someone's just sticking a screwdriver in my back and wiggling it around like this, right? It's only going in about 2 inches, but it's that. I'm just like, like this kind of thing. Like it was so bad. And then we get to this building on just two big swinging doors that, swing out like that. And I grab the one that's furthest away rather than this one opening this way. I grab the one that's furthest away and I throw it like that so I can walk through it. And for a fraction of a second, everything went white.
Oh.
The time and space disappeared. The pain just went right off the scale.
Mm-hmm.
Up till then, it was bad, but this was just like, I was gone, right? For I don't know how long. And then I spun around and I landed with just my shoulders and my head against the wall, lying flat on my back, and I couldn't move my legs. I couldn't wiggle my toes. I was basically paralyzed from the nipples down.
Oh.
So she starts to panic. I'm freaking out. No, I got to get up. I go like this, and it felt like a spear came out through the floor.
Oh.
And I'm just can't, like, I'm like, come on, toes, do something. Nothing.
Yeah. Wiggle, will you?
I'm lying there, and then I had chewed up some Tylenol 3 and some clonazepam. And I'm lying there, and then all of a sudden just, there it is. That feels better. So I'm like, all right, loosen up, relax. It'll come. And the whole time I can barely breathe because the pain is still like a knife in my back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I feel my toes start to move. Then I can move my feet a little bit and everything. And I literally crawled through slush to get into the cab.
Oh.
So we get home, I get in a cab, and I get in a cab, I get in a bath. And normally this kind of thing would work its way out in a couple of days. You lay in bed, you put your fist underneath you, click, and you just, there it goes. And whatever, you bring your knees up and click, your back. I could usually get rid of it. This would not let go. And 3 months I was stuck like in my apartment. I couldn't even make it to the corner store.
No.
So then my muscles just shriveled right up. With fibromyalgia, you decondition a lot faster.
Yeah.
So my muscles just atrophied. And so I go to see the doctor, and she's like, "What the hell?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What? You tell me." Like, you just saw me 4 months ago. Like, you tell me what's going on. Like, I said, "I can't hardly walk. You saw me come in here. I still feel like I got a knife in my back. This click hasn't let go for 4 months." She's like, "Jesus Christ, what are we gonna do?" So I got to get fitted for a wheelchair. So like I was down to 129 pounds at one point, and then in early 2007, a little over 5 years later, we were living someplace. It was close to a mall with like a parking lot, and I just had like a crosswalk right there.
Right.
And I had a Category 2 walker, one of those walkers with a little seat and 4 wheels.
Yeah,
So I just leaned on it like it was like you see like an old guy leaning on a shopping cart, and I just struggled my ass across the parking lot and into the mall, and it took me about 3 months to get walking properly again.
So you were walking from what I can recall. You were telling me many years ago.
Yeah.
You actually used that mall as a therapy place. By using it to walk around in order to strengthen yourself.
Yeah, because it's a long sort of L-shaped mall. And there's pretty much nothing after you get to the pet store. So there's benches. So I could just walk for a bit and sit on a bench, or just sit on my walker. It had a bench on it. I can sit anywhere. But I would just do it a bit at a time. But the thing that really hooked was I went to see this physiotherapy place. And they did the full assessment and everything, they did a big checkup. And then they were like, I go back, they're like, "Okay, when do we start the therapeutic, coming in every day or whatever?" And they're like, "Yeah, there's nothing we can really teach you. You're already doing more than the people who leave this program. It's like you wouldn't learn anything here." Mm-hmm. So I'm like, "Okay, well, fair enough. I guess I'm on the right track." They're like, "Yeah." Right. So I said, I'm thinking, if I could get, like, for lack of a better term, a big pile of weed, enough to use to, get past the pain and the spasticity, maybe I could build my muscles back up and I could maybe get out of this wheelchair one day. And the woman gave me sort of a, kind of look, And then she pulls Christine aside after, and she's like, "No, this is not going to happen. His body is shriveled up too badly. And he's not getting out of the chair. Like, you might walk 100 feet or something, but the chair is his life now. He's got to get used to that.
You'll be never without the wheelchair.
Life's going to be harder for him if he keeps dreaming this. He's going to get out of the chair. So, so you got to maybe try to guide him away from that." So she's like, "Okay, noted." And she told me this after, and I'm like, "Son of a bitch," So, but it was always a struggle because.
Like that, they shouldn't have jobs.
That's medical for you, but I made a neurologist weep. I went in to see her to see if she'd sign my MMAR.
Right.
"Where's your chair?" So, "I don't need it anymore." I did that yoga pose where you put the palm of your foot against the thigh, and then you put your two hands like this, and you stand really slow. So I did that in front of her, and she just went, and she slumped back in her chair, and her eyes welled up. She's like, no joke. People as far gone as you they don't come back from that.
I had a chiropractor dump me because I told him I didn't use my asthma puffers anymore because cannabis cured my asthma, and he told me I was a fucking liar and dumb. I'm like, but I'm telling you, I don't use Ventolin anymore. I smoke cannabis and I don't have the asthma. Like, I don't have it. He's like, basically called me a liar and told me I could not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, you know, and this is the other thing too, is, you know, when you have long hair and you wear tie-dye because it's pretty much all you have, you're not really rich to buy 1,000 things.
Right.
When she had her psychotic event in 2017, you know, I spent 2.5 hours getting the shit beat out of me, trying to keep a naked woman covered in sweat from running down the hall or jumping off the balcony.
Right. Yeah.
So that went on for a while. And then the cops came and pointed guns at me.
Oh.
And they got a report of shots fired.
Yeah. So that's your fibro and your wheelchair situation. Now let's just move over to Christine.
Yeah.
She is dealing with.
Well, she has epilepsy.
Yeah.
Epilepsy.
And PTSD.
I didn't know what because it's different forms, so I didn't know what.
Yeah. Well, her particular type of epilepsy is, you know, notoriously hard to treat. But so is a lot of epilepsy. You know, they don't really talk about this on the you know, the websites and the brochures and the commercials. But we saw an episode of what was called 6x9 or something. It was kind of like W5, but it was on Global, one of those news magazine shows, you know, hard hitting, you know, investigative reporting.
Yeah.
And they were talking about that procedure where they slash all the fibers that connect the two halves of the brain, and that often helps people with seizures. But I remember vividly the first line of the show of the segment was, for 1/3 of epilepsy sufferers, surgery and medications don't work. Yeah. Their life is short, brutal, and sequestered.
Yeah.
So we're like,
temporary.
Oh, you know, we look at each other like, wow, this is going to be good, you know. And it's like 30%, a full third. That's not like the fringe. You know, so so Dilantin and gabapentin, they work great for most of the people, most of the time. You know, old Uncle Bill or whatever only has 1 or 2 seizures a year, and the side effects aren't too bad. Yeah, but they don't talk about the other 30%. They don't talk about the people who just don't react well to the medications and end up dying. You know?
And again, like, that was one thing that really kind of catalyzed things for you too, as well, was that YouTube video of Christine having seizures and how you dealt with it, and the help that, you know, the inhalation and ventilation of cannabis helped her with. Again, it's not a cure-all. We always say in our shows, we're not medical, you know, we're medical patients. We are not medical practitioners. We have not been trained by medical in any way. We're just sharing our experience. But again,
we've got a viewer. We've got a viewer saying the same, you know, basically the same thing. Sunny Dare 81 says that I have severe mast cell activation syndrome. Cannabis is not going to cure me, but it calms my mast cells, brought down inflammation, helps in so many ways, and just makes life more enjoyable.
Oh, that's great. That's good. That's awesome.
We don't even know if Christine would have more or fewer seizures if she quit using cannabis. No. But because we're kind of beyond that. She's having 25 seizures a month, and we just live with that, you know.
She was there was a time though where she wasn't having.
Oh my God! So when she started using cannabis, right? She gets off of pharmaceuticals, we start using cannabis, and an embarrassingly small amount. We're talking about like not even 2 grams a day,
right?
For her, you know, through a dry bong, and she had 60 seizures of one kind or another from January 1st until the end of May. She had 13 the rest of the year. The following year, she had 13. The following year, she had 9. The following year, she had 5. The following year, she had 3. The following year, she had 1. And then in 2008, in March, she got up, you know, goes for a pee. Hey, good morning. Or she sits on the couch. All of a sudden, she goes into a grand mal. I thought, all right, well, it's been a while. You know, it's been like 267 days or something.
Right.
Wow.
15 minutes later, she has a second one.
Right.
Oh.
20 minutes later, she has a third. I'm like, okay, this is bad.
Right.
Call an ambulance. They come. She has a fourth.
Oh.
They're about to shoot her full of Ativan. So you better have have their paddles fired up, man, because she'll go into cardiac arrest on you.
Right.
Like, I'm like, yeah, it's just her. She'll die. She just dies. She does that. She dies. She's been dead twice already. They're like, okay, well, noted. So they take her to the hospital. And when I'm in the hospital with her, I'm like, look at her records. It's right here. Go look at the computer. You know, you can't be loading her up with Dilantin. You can't just give her shooting full of drugs. She's allergic.
Right.
So the guy's like, all right. Well, he sits down. You see him at the scrolling. Okay. And then they get up. So now it's a whole new thing. So they got the paddles ready, right? They're putting a needle into her artery because they got to get the blood. They got to find out how much oxygen is in her blood to see if she's getting air, you know?
Right.
Because she's been seizing for close to 40 minutes at this point. Right? And there's piss all over the floor. They're shoving a catheter up inside. They're strapping her down. She's having a different kind of seizure, like squirming like I never saw before. I thought she was going to die. She's fallen 15, 20 times since we've been together where I thought, oh, she's dead. She's dead. And she wasn't. You know.
Wow. So traumatic. That's a lot of times.
So traumatic. But again, the education that you two together have shared with our community and the world is exemplary. Like the books, the videos, the time, the editorial.
The video is the big one.
Yeah.
That's saved a bunch of lives.
Yeah, Christine was telling me that it's now over 6 million views on that video.
The first one we put up had a lot of text over it, and it got taken down after 1.2 million views because of its references. So then we already had a second one up. It was just, here's the raw footage. You know, and we put the text in the accompanying text below. Right. Nothing in the video. And then that one has been up, and it's got like 4 million views, 4.3 or something now. So the total is over 6 million total hits. Now there are way better videos since, but ours was the best video on YouTube for years.
And the video was showing, just so everybody could.
Oh, it was showing Christine having a grand mal seizure on our couch, and just like thrashing. She breaks a tooth, like you hear a loud crunch, like when a kid bites into a Tic Tac or a Hall's menthol candy, you know, just crunch. And I thought, well, maybe this is grinding, but then I found this like quarter of a molar. We took it to the dentist. He's like, I can't use that, but thanks.
But again, like there's so many amazing things that she does with her art too. Like she's taken all of that, the trauma and suffering that she has to deal with, this physical ailment, because there's absolutely nothing she can do to stop this. This is something that's her body's fighting herself, and there's nothing she can do. Her brain's always on key though, right? I mean, I know the seizures have caused a little bit of but her art has always been absolutely magnificent. And I think when we come back, we should talk a lot more about how talented she is. Never mind all the things that she has to go through with these terrible seizures that you both have to, because again,
that's the other thing. I mean, her art is, especially the stuff she's been producing the past 5 years.
I know it's been
is worthy of any contemporary gallery in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, it's not like scoffing. Everyone else's work is great too, but I keep telling her, it's not like, you're way better than these people, or you're, just as good. It's like, no, your art would not look out of place in any contemporary gallery in New York City.
Yeah,
London,
and it's not just like a picture, a painting of a picture of a regular, like an art scene or whatever.
Yeah.
The style is different.
Yeah, well, she uses this comic book style and this raised beading that she uses along the line work.
Yeah,
especially like to see one of these paintings in person, especially like their painting called Dahlia, the flower one, or the giraffe, or one of her chameleons. It kind of jumps off the canvas at you. They're kind of they're imposing, kind of. They're not just, that's a pretty painting. You walk in like, geez, that thing's like really. I'm in the room with you, Like it's even small ones.
When I came to Ottawa in 2012, I was able to stay with Russ and Christine. And there was a painting of ladybugs that was hanging in their apartment. And I still talk about that painting.
That was one of the early ones,
because it was, and I mean, this is 2012, but it was just so beautiful. Just and it was all, and it was oil. It was done on canvas. It was, she
canvas on acrylic on canvas. Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So I still tell people about this beautiful. And then she does paintings of me and sends them to me and my son. And all
Well, yeah,
kinds
the digital illustrations.
digital
What you normally do is she'll take a photo of something, either somebody's from Facebook or a stock photo or a photo she took, and she'll do these illustrations on her iPad. She'll draw all the line work where she wants it, then she'll do all the colors and stuff, her own personal flair to it. And then sometimes those things are turned into paintings. That digital image becomes a study for a painting. But the image itself is worthy of, you could print it and hang it on your wall.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I have. It's like having my own personal artist. Every once in a while, these beautiful, digital images. She goes, "Do you like this?" I'm like, "Of course I do. I love them. Every single one of them. If I was in personal there, I'd be hugging her like, "Oh my God," because it makes my day. Because
that's what she does. I mean, she can't. We try to keep her from standing up too much.
Right.
So we don't let her do dishes and cooking and the kind of stuff that,
she likes to cook, though. I bet you that kind of stinks.
She loves to cook. She used to love to cook. She likes cleaning the house and cleaning up and doing dishes, and she loves all that kind of domestic stuff. I don't expect that from a wife. I'm from the Sesame Street generation. I'm perfectly happy with, equality in the marriage. I don't have those kind of attitudes, but she used to love doing all that stuff.
Right.
But we can't let her be standing too long because she keeps just falling down, boom, on her back. Yeah. And she could land on one of the dogs and kill them. She could, how she hasn't broken a pelvis or a hip or something.
Yeah, hit her head on a counter.
It's all that rowing she does.
Yeah, well, she fell and hit her head on the rowing machine one time.
I know. I remember.
Back of her head. I couldn't get underneath her in time. I saw her going down too. The day she got her denture, she fell on her face in the parking lot when we were waiting for the cab, tore a flap, half an inch long off the top of her ear funnel. Like it was up like this. So man, we just cleaned it with alcohol. I put it in place, put a Band-Aid over it, and we left it. It's healed up fine.
Good.
Like I said, she has been through so much. Like, my goodness.
She did a colonoscopy 2 summers ago. Raw dog, man. She could not get any painkillers or anesthetic at all.
No anesthetic.
No anesthetic for a colonoscopy.
No.
Yeah. Keep going. I'm fine.
Yeah.
That's a warrior. That's a warrior woman.
Name any red pill activist, red hat MAGA guy who thinks he's tough enough to do that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Most of them would refuse to get a colonoscopy because they're worried it would turn them gay.
I've had probably like a dozen of them because of my Crohn's disease.
Hey, my 15-year-old son.
Only one knocked you out for it though, right?
Correct, but one time it didn't.
I
was awake through it, and I did question what happened afterwards.
So
and I was sick on the way home. That was the only time I've ever had. I've only had the one negative reaction.
Taven had one this past.
I loved it. They're like, okay, you're gonna go under. I'm like, all right, and then I wake up and I was propofol. And I've never been so high in my life. I'm stumbling around the lobby like, this is great. This feels fantastic, man. Oh, Christine, you missed out on this. Is amazing. And 3 minutes later, right as rain. Totally normal.
Like I said,
that was fun. Why are you gonna miss that?
and then when he dislocated his elbow, they gave the kid fentanyl, and I was like, "Do you have to use that shit? Like, really?" But in order for them to be able to knock him out and not have him feel the pain of putting that elbow back in there,
I used to pop her shoulder back in all the time.
Yeah, no, this was an elbow.
I've seen her reach for a cup in the cupboard, and the shoulder just blunk and fall out.
Oh.
And then I would hold still, and I put my hand in her armpit, grab her by the elbow, and then click. I pull it away from her torso and click it back into place. She often fainted from that.
Yeah, I would too.
I slap her face, give her a little bit of this, and she comes like, what the hell? Unbelievable. Her pain threshold is amazing.
That white scene that you talked about earlier when you got so much pain and that's one of those moments, man.
Yeah.
So, all right, top of the hour, already time for another break. It just flies. So first segment, we talked about your books. This segment, we've talked about the two of you, and as far as your medical conditions and cannabis and all that. When we come back, I want to talk about the challenges, such as the human rights tribunal and stuff like that you had to get involved in order to do what you do. So
cool.
All right. Other than that, we'll be right back. You're watching the Pace Radio Show. We're live here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca, and we'll be back with more from Christine and Russell.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Camelford Lifestyle Shop, open Monday to Friday from 10 till 7 p.m. or by chance. Check out our flags, our t-shirts, plus our hats, and look of that supply of rolling papers, plus much more. We've got bongs and your favorite herbal vaporizers. Look at all the incense we have, as well as for those who collect knives, check out these knives in our collection. And while you're here, stop in to see Shay at the piercing room, where you can get poked by Shay. Daily deals, check them out. Camelford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Camelford, Ontario. Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. Rerolled Saturdays. Check it out. Nothing but non-stop cannabis and psychedelic programming. Find it at 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And you're watching the Pace Radio Show. We're live here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca. All right, we are into the third segment of the broadcast. We've talked about the books, and we will get back into the books again before we say goodbye tonight. And we've talked about the medical end of thing and the cannabis use. Now let's get into your challenges that you've had over this time, such as I mentioned before the break, the human rights case that you had to deal with.
Yeah, well, that was a tricky one. I was outside after, getting out of a wheelchair, got back into comedy. It was going pretty well. I was even getting paid gigs, so that was cool.
Comedy.
One evening, I was out front of Absolute Comedy on Preston Street in Ottawa, and I go to light up a joint, and one of the other comedians who happened to be working in the kitchen that night, he comes up to me. He's like, no, dude, please don't. So I'm like, whoa, well, excuse me? Especially from him, because he was a big stoner at the time. And he's like, yeah, we already got a fine from the thing. Like, he didn't even know what it was called. It was the AGCO.
Yeah, it was the liquor board that would be issuing a problem with that.
Right.
Okay.
So Jason already got a fine because somebody smelled pot coming off of me. So don't. The inspector could be around. Please just don't. You're getting us in more trouble. So I was like, okay, well, he asked nice, and I don't want to cause any trouble for Jason, especially if he's already got Jason Lawrence is the guy who owns Absolute Comedy. So I don't have any quarrel with him. I don't want to cause a problem. So I go down to the bus stop, smoke a joint there. It didn't sit right with me. So I go home, and I knew Tim Meehan would be up. So I phone him, and I'm like, yeah, it's just Alex just said this and that. He says, you should file a human rights complaint. I said, what, against Jason? That would ruin him. I mean, that's crazy. He goes, no, against the Ontario government. I said, go on. And he's like, I've been thinking about this, and a lot of these federal regulations don't, like your license doesn't jive with a lot of provincial regulation, right? Because the provinces haven't changed anything. Let me check that. I'm going to research this. I'll talk to you in the morning. So by morning time, he'd already scoured through every federal regulation and provincial regulation in Ontario. Because he had an encyclopedic knowledge of the internet.
Yeah.
So he was able to scour through and find cannabis, marijuana, all this kind of stuff. And he realized there was all kinds of crazy discrepancies. If, for example, if I have my pot license and I have my pot and we're driving in a car, but I'm not driving, somebody else is, that person is trafficking weed. Now, realistically, I don't think anyone's going to be tried or going to jail for that. But it points out,
correct,
a cab driver
possibility.
He's trafficking weed technically. If my luggage has weed in it and it's in the back of the car, the taxi driver is technically. The bus, I can't use the bus. I can't be in my doctor's office. I can't be in my dentist office. I can't be, on school property. I can't be on campus property at Ottawa U or Carleton or Algonquin. Like all this stuff. Now, I mean, right away we realistically went, well, it's not like anyone's going to get that's not the point. The point is, when you carry your cannabis into a licensed establishment, a restaurant or a bar, you're putting the bar at risk. Your weed falls out of your pocket, hits the floor, you pick it up and put it away. AGCO, inspector, ACE, whatever, alcohol, gaming, whatever. The inspector happens to see that because these guys are spooks, right? They don't walk in with an inspector badge on them. They walk there looking like civilians. They come to the bar, they enjoy the thing, they watch a comedy show, they snoop around, they watch and see what's going on. If they see people getting overserved, some guy's hammered and he's still getting beers brought to the table, they're going to get a fine for that or a caution or whatever. If they see weed, somebody's, whoops, they dropped my weed and put it back in my pocket. That guy doesn't get in any trouble. The bar loses their license for a week.
And the server gets fined.
$20,000 in revenue.
Yeah.
So this was the problem.
Yeah.
And so Jason freaks out. He's like, wait, what are you going to do? You're going to make trouble for me? I'm like, no, this is not going to make trouble for you. We're going to try and clear that trouble up. Because every one of your comics is a pothead. One of them drops their weed and one of these spooks sees it. You're going to get another fine. And your next fine is going to be bigger. It could be a month where they're going to take your license away.
Well, technically, even a server, if you're in a bar, even now with legalization, if you're in any establishment, you smell cannabis on a patron, you're legally obligated to quit serving them and ask them to leave.
Yeah, I know. It's insane.
They're considered impaired.
Yeah. Cannabis is not legal in Canada as far as I'm concerned. It's just been handed over to millionaires. So, we filed the human rights complaint, and all I did was sign it. Tim Meehan wrote the whole thing. And it's, comprehensive. You can go look at it. I'm sure it's online someplace. And after we did the meeting, because it was funny, because we go through the thing, finally they're like, we're going to listen to this case. So the arbitration meeting was going to happen. So the lawyer comes in with this other lady who's the sort of main arbitrator. And they're like, these things can get pretty heated. Like, are you guys going to be okay with this? I'm like, there's no one in that room. It's not like a bar that refused me service or something because I'm disabled. No one in that room has done me any wrong. It's regulations and federal laws that don't jive.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be banging my hand on the table or sticking my finger in anybody's face in there unless they cause a problem. I'm not going in there with animosity. No one in there's done me any harm. They're like, oh, okay, cool. So we go in and I tell everybody the same thing. It's like, you guys didn't do anything. I don't know any of you. You haven't done anything wrong to me. We can just discuss this. I'm not going to get angry about anything. So they're like, okay. Then there was a lady from the arbitrator. There was our lawyer from Queen's University who was assigned He's a professor from Queen's University. He was assigned by the tribunal court or whatever. A lawyer from the federal government, a representative from Health Canada, a lawyer from the Ontario government, someone from the AGCO, me, Christine, and Tim, and I think somebody else. So I did most of the talking. Tim would pipe in with like more detail because he had all the details in his head on his best behavior, indispensable that day, fantastic. And then at the end, you know, our lawyer goes, well, this is like by far the best arbitration meeting we've ever had. These things usually get heated and people leave in a huff or yell at each other. This was fantastic. Very informative, very calm and nice. Everyone had a pleasant time. Thank you very much. And then after he pulls us aside, he goes, who prepared this for you? Like kind of, you know, playfully, suspiciously. And I just went, Tim. He goes, this is very good. And Tim kind of, you know, all proud.
Oh, he smokes pot too.
yeah, you know, and I'm like, he did the whole thing. All I did was sign it because I don't know these things. He's like, really well done, really well done.
So how'd you make out in the end?
We got a half win. Of course, it's the Human Rights Tribunal or whatever. They have it's not binding to anybody, but their decision was that I could carry my weed on me, but not use it in a licensed establishment or on the property of a licensed establishment. So, you know, like a restaurant, if you're out in the parking lot smoking a joint, not cool. If you've got your weed on you, cool. You know, but people smoke joints in parking lots of restaurants all the time.
There they do, yeah.
This is what we were bringing up in the meeting. It's not like, oh, I want my rights to smoke weed where I want. It's like, what about people who don't have licenses? What about Joe Blow, who's want to just smoke a joint before he goes in the parking lot? And then I pointed the inspector guy from AGC. I'm like, you walk by and smell it, the bar gets screwed. You don't say a thing to the guy smoking the joint. You go and give the owner of the bar $10,000 fine.
And the thing is, the bars aren't supposed to be there to police everybody. They're only obligated to certain points.
If the bartender's inside, who's outside? Who's got to be outside in the parking lot and police in the parking lot?
Right.
Exactly.
And that's the whole thing with the breakdown of provincial laws and these stupid fucking regulations and bylaws for anything. It's ridiculous.
Howard Wagman from Yuck Yucks said, if we refused entry to everybody who smelled like weed coming into Yuck Yucks, there'd be no audience.
There'd
be no comics.
You'd have nobody there.
Because even the comics who don't smoke weed smell like weed because they're standing out in the alley with the comedians who smoke weed.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because there's 3 of them out there smoking 3 joints before they go on stage. The other guys are just having their cigarettes. The whole alley stinks like you know, a dabathon. So what is he going to do? You know, you can't refuse entry to people who smell like weed in Canada. That's ridiculous. You know, especially a comedy place, half the clientele would be refused.
Well, they do.
You know, so.
Earlier on, you had mentioned about you know, getting access and stuff like that. Was that a challenge for the two of you to get access to?
Oh God, so hard, man. It started off, you know, Mike Foster was already running a compassion club by the time, very discreetly, by the time we broached the topic with her using. We're like, you know, we want to find out what do we do about opening a compassion club. He's like, well, funny you should mention that, you know, and he was taking a bath on that, man. He put so much of his own money into that.
Yeah.
You know, and then he had people going talking in the media, talking shit about compassion clubs, saying, "Oh, most of these guys are only in it for the money." And there's Mike. You know, it's almost like an episode of the Office where you kind of like, you know, at the camera like that, you know, kind of thing.
Kind of like running anything when it came to cannabis, like trying to. There was never any money to be made. It was always about compassion. It was always about helping.
Right.
It was
you
never
know, some of the places had to have a bit of a profit so they could, you know, keep the place going, keep the lights.
Yeah, you got your overhead costs, you know, like some of them rented offices.
Exactly. They had some expenses. You know, we rented an office at one point.
Yeah, I know of a compassion club that was in a professional building. There's other doctors and a pharmacist.
Yeah.
Pharmacy was in there, and the whole
Even
bit.
if the people worked for free, when we were doing it, everyone was working for free, but everything costs money.
Yeah.
You end up with like 30 grams of shake at the bottom of the bag that no one wants.
Right, and then
No one's going to buy that off you. Patients want bud.
Yeah.
So we had to that's pretty much what we would use a lot of the time was we would get that,
I feel that too.
because that's what we were just making. We put in the bong anyway. We didn't roll joints. So,
Right.
But then we got a series of growers. The first we were growing on our own. It's very stressful.
Yeah, you're growing in the apartment, weren't
in
you?
our apartment. And
Yeah.
some dude smelled it, and it was really funny because he was this guy, and I'm like, oh, this guy is talking to me in the building. And I was talking to a guy at the head shop. He's like, I know him. He's a nice guy, but do not get involved. Like, he's nice, but don't deal with him at all. Okay, trust me on this. He's out of your league, man. Okay, he's not who you want to deal with. This guy had 5 apartments in our building.
Oh.
Full of weed.
Oh wow.
Really?
No one was living in them.
Oh.
It's just 5 apartments, all tented in.
Just all used for growing.
All used for growing. Yeah.
Well, then they want to smell yours.
Well, he had his smell under control. Right?
Did they ruin the apartment?
He knocks on my door one evening, and I see him through. I'm like, oh, what's he want? So I open the door. I'm like, can I help you? He's like, I can smell your grow. I said, oh yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, Shishka berry, blue dom, and the third one I don't recognize. I went, get in. So he comes in and he's like, oh yeah, see, here's your problem. You got to put a dimmer switch on this so it's sucking all the air toward the charcoal filter, and then you pump it out. You can just filter it back through that way, but you got to keep the dimmer so it's a negative air pressure inside the grow, just enough that it sucks the plastic in. I'm like, not too tight, just enough. And like, oh, okay, cool. So we got a dimmer, set it all up. It was great. We never had a problem with the smell again.
Good.
But but the lady downstairs in the office, she's like, the whole building can smell it. Everybody knows, man. Everybody knows.
Well, I mean, if you have a license and you did the right.
Yeah, but still, it was so stressful. We never knew when it was going to catch fire, or when someone was going to break in and steal all our stuff. We never knew. So it was not cool. So we met this lady through crosstown traffic, and she tried to grow for us, but when September came, she was, end of September, she's like, yeah, we harvested it before the hail came because there was bad hail that year, and we got like an ounce from her. It was the raggediest, weakest weed I ever saw in my life.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we got burned. So we told all our friends, man, we just got fucked. We could have had our license with somebody good, and we got fucked. So then this guy we knew through the Compassion Club, this young fella, he's like, well, my dad would maybe grow for you. So we go to meet him. He's like, yeah, except I have a criminal record. So you would be the grower on paper, but I'd be sort of doing it. So we're like, okay, whatever, that's fine. Mm-hmm. So we did that for a while. We went to his place and we trimmed, and then we get pulled over one time because he rented a house. This house wasn't really rentable to a lot of people because it had a well and it was E. coli in the well. So he was growing in the shed out back at the garage. It was insulated, and he had a 1,000-gallon water tank installed. So he had to have shipments of water brought in all the time so he could feed the plants.
Yeah.
So one day he picks us up to come to his house to trim. And as soon as we get in the car, it's just reeking of fresh cut weed.
Oh.
He's like, yeah, there's a bin of branches in the trunk. We just get in the car, we just go over the hill, and a cop is standing there with a radar gun, and he goes like that.
Oh.
Into this parking lot, right?
Yeah.
So he hands the paper, goes off, comes back after like 35 minutes. He's like, yeah, okay, well, you were going the speed and too fast. I'm going to give you a warning, but I'm smelling weed here. Christine takes her thing. She's like, that's the only weed you smell, officer. And he's like, like this. He says, no, I'm smelling like fresh weed. And I'm, like, well, where'd you get your nose calibrated, kind of thing. Like, how do you know it's weed? Like, and I'm like, well, she has a license. His son has a license. Like,
We also
search the whole car. Go ahead, man. But like, it's not going to land in court,
Yeah.
So then they're like, So another cop comes. There's like 3 cars there. They're discussing it. And then he kind of walks up real fast and just tosses his papers back in, like his license back at him. He's like, okay, have a nice day. And he runs off. And the 3 cars are off. So there must have been something important going on, because they're like, all right, just forget it. We were there for like an hour, 10 minutes, man. So, and then I talked to this lawyer that we knew, and I'm like, do you know any other growers, man? Because our guy is indiscreet. Like, he's a good guy and it's good weed, but it's indiscreet and it's stressing us out bad,
Right.
So he's like, I know just the guy. So we meet this guy and he's like, yeah, I want to use your licenses and as a sort of the cornerstone for a legit grow business. So when they legalize and when they start giving out these grow permits for medical, you guys will basically be, the building blocks of that. So eventually it'll be a legit business and you'll be like owners and stuff. We're like, okay, cool. So he gave us more per day than the previous guy, but we were right down to the last gram when he would come and bring it to us.
Oh,
nag the shit out of
you're just
him.
getting enough to survive on.
Every month I had to nag the shit out of him.
Right.
And then Harper took them away, so we had no more grows.
Yeah.
We didn't know anybody who was like going to risk growing for us on a maybe of an injunction.
They did
That's
too.
the ACMPR.
Well, here's the
It was 4 years of nothing, it was 4 years of off charity.
But then when they did the legalization too, like designated growers don't have anywhere to take their overage anymore, and the pounds have gone from being a $2,500 commodity down to $300 a pound. So it costs you more now to grow anything than it does. So designated, like even my friend,
no profit in it at all.
Like her designated grower said, like I'm not even going to grow for myself. It's not worth it. Even for myself, it's not worth me growing.
It's worth it for us. Like it's it's got a cost, but we're not going to go. We don't go without it. We'll go without food first.
Right, and you're actually making FICO too, right? From my understanding.
Yeah. So we need a bit more. So I got 12 big plants flowering right now. I got 9 smaller ones flowering, 5 little ones in veg. Not ideal. I prefer to harvest a plant every week or 2 every week.
Right.
So I don't have like 9 plants hanging in my bathtub.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to figure something out upstairs in the.
You'd rather have it spread out versus getting it all.
Yeah. It's what I call the conveyor belt method.
Yeah.
You're harvesting.
Otherwise,
2 plants out.
Can overtake your life.
Plants in. Your flower room is always in a. Every plant's in a different stage. I look at them and I go, okay, that bud is pretty big. I'm going to start giving them just water now. And then when the hairs or half the hairs are brown, time to cut.
I wish I could, but no power, no room, no nothing. I'm sitting here looking.
Well, I got a 500 square foot basement, unfinished, but I got less than half of it blocked off for plenty of room for our needs. But we got arsenic in our well this summer.
Oh.
Because we had the worst drought in probably Nova Scotia's history.
Right.
That's not good.
And our well didn't go dry, but our neighbor put up a post going, got my well tested, we got arsenic. I'm like, oh, Christ. So then I see 2 days later, you okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The province puts up a thing, check your wells, arsenic all across the province.
No.
The bottom, the whole thing from Lace Bay right down to the bottom tip. Everybody who's got a well has got. Now, I mean, you can drink water with a bit of arsenic in it. It's not going to kill you, right? It's not a good thing to accumulate in your body.
No.
But we got a water filter and we started filtering our drinking water. And, but the plants are really sensitive to arsenic.
Oh, yeah.
Pot plants especially. So I was checking with ChatGPT and he's like, oh, yeah, the slightest bit of arsenic in your well water is going to kill your plants.
Yeah.
27 plants I had to scrap.
Oh, no.
Like 2 months worth of medicine at least. Which is why I had to, scrounge from a friend. And I may have to scrounge more. We'll see but these guys, the ones downstairs now, these girls are probably first 2 weeks of January, I'll have medicine I can use. So.
Oh, okay, so you're looking at another month before you harvest.
Yeah, at least. There's 9. They're between 9 and 10 weeks. I don't even really count. I don't keep dates on them or anything. I sprout seed. I put it in soil. I go, okay, that needs to be in a bigger pot. Okay, that's about the biggest it's going to get. Put it in the flower room. Okay, it's flowering nicely. Oh, these leaves don't look good. Pick all these fuckers off.
Yeah.
Yellow, brown, strip her down.
Yeah.
And, you're a big useless thing. You're not even getting any light down there. No point you getting moisture and food. Yeah. So I just do that. And other than the arsenic, I did pretty well. I'm not going to.
Yeah, it's too bad about that. Holy fuck. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's pretty bad. And then the other thing that happened too early on, I got some seeds from various places, and the sticky zipper, those zipper door things.
Yeah.
It's like a red tape, and it just came right off of the plastic. So I go downstairs one morning, my basement light had been on all night, and the flap is just open.
Oh no!
So my plants got a big dose of light poisoning during their flower cycle. So I asked Myrna, I'm like, what's that going to do? He's like, oh, they could go hybrid on you. There's all kinds of stuff, man. They hermaphrodite. So what happened was they went seedy on me.
Yeah, hermaphrodite.
They're not super seedy, but they're seedy. So I can sprout the seeds. The medicine's still good.
Yep.
Getting some good FICO out of it. I mean, you wouldn't maybe want to roll up a joint of this stuff. It's funny because one of the
snap, crackle, and pop.
Well, somebody came by and they hadn't been by a while. They're like, "Well, how's your pot grow going?" And I went, "Well, I'm not going to win any awards, but we're getting by."
It's all trial and error, and you guys have been at it for. You'll just get better and better each time.
Yeah. Well, hey, the first batches we did in Ottawa when we were in the apartment. Oh, what?
Yeah,
we nailed it. But
now it's sophomore time. Is when the problems start.
Yeah, I couldn't grow in Ottawa. It's part of the reason we had to move. Is I couldn't grow in our Ottawa apartment. I could in the winter, October to April, nice. But then it gets hot.
Too hot.
And we only had this little sort of crack open of a window. We couldn't put an air conditioner. I couldn't even put one of those, pipe out the window standing air conditioners.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't even get it out because of the screen and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and we had central air in the building.
I know.
But even if I crank it up and leave it on all the time,
yeah,
it's not going to do that for those lights.
No.
Yeah, especially in the days of those middle highlights and.
No, this is 2 years ago. This is just 2 years ago with my LED lights.
Oh, okay.
It's still pretty
on the summertime would be way too hot. The air conditioner would be able to keep the room low enough temps not to get bugs and stuff.
Yeah, LED is not magic. They give off heat, man.
Well, they do. Yeah, I agree. They do give off.
They do give off.
Yeah.
They're not as severe as especially the old days. The old oil style of ballast back in the day.
Those things were insane.
Oh, I found it. And some bulbs downstairs, but I got no ballasts.
Yeah. The ballasts are the big cost.
All right.
Well, yeah, they got flooded, so they got taken away.
I see we're at the bottom of the hour. Let's get a little shout out and talk about your book before we say goodbye. Just to remind everybody.
Is this the end of it, or are we going to 11 o'clock?
No. We have another broadcast that does follow us.
Oh,
but
okay.
we do have a little space between each show, but
well, Outlaw Patients is available in a bunch of different places, including Amazon. And so basically just Google it and you'll find a link to your liking. Maybe you like Apple books, maybe you like Barnes and Noble, maybe you like Smashwords or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different places that it's available as an ebook and as a paperback and hardcover from Amazon.
They listed as a love story, a protest, a warning, a revolution told from the inside.
Yep, it's
a good description.
We've had a one of a kind life. Like there's just the craziest, being in Ottawa in that situation, addressing a crowd of 13,000 people while you're handing out books of Mommy's Funny Medicine.
Yeah.
And there's mostly teenagers smoking weed.
And you also got involved in politics too, which we never talked about
Yeah, I ran in the
You
election.
were part of the marijuana party.
Yeah, I ran in 2004. I ran in the election.
Yeah. So,
Well, thanks for having us on. It was great. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Your story is so long. There's no way that we can cover it all in 90 minutes.
Yeah, we could do a whole TV series.
We could do exactly.
It really is. It's a chapter. It's
yeah.
We're gonna shop the movie rights around.
Yeah. No. You talk about it could be a whole like a movie. How long is the book? How many pages? Just offhand.
Pages. I think it's like 128. It's only 62,000 words. It's not very long.
All right.
It's not like the Thornbirds or something or Jaws, you know.
Yeah.
It's not that big.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
The audio book is only 5 hours, like 4.5 hours.
Is it?
Yeah. So it's pretty short.
Sure. Okay. I have, for anybody who's interested in it, I have put the links to Mummy's Funny Medicine as well as the Outlaws Medical Marijuana Memoir. And since we're here right at the end, one other spot, if you want to check out more write-ups on these two, I'm going to suggest to you, this is a little bias on this one. This is a story that I wrote on Christine and Russell for Cannabis Digest magazine.
The Pied Pipers of Pot.
Yes.
Yeah, the Pied Pipers of Pot. Russell Barth and Christine Lowe. So there you go.
And I think I still have an interview in a book of mine that I started writing. It was supposed to go into 12 High Chicks before 12 High Chicks had to be sold.
Oh, right. Yeah, it didn't get in because the magazine stopped.
It never made it into the magazine because the magazine, well, the first article did, but then the second volume never came out. So the article was written, but never was published.
Yeah.
It was I have like this much like interview. Remember, we spent hours and I spent hours in it.
Yes, I completely understand where you're coming from because that's how ours was. We did a long interview. It was hours long in order for me to write the article. So I could just imagine, Russell, you would type it out because you lived it. You didn't.
Yeah. You couldn't get an AI to write this. Like, there's no way you could say, "Oh, well, here's the outline. Go ahead." You know, there's a book like this. Like if it was fiction, you could go, "Okay, here's the story. Here's the outline. Here are the characters. Give me 65,000 words." And yeah, okay, that's what you use an AI for. But a memoir like this, every keystroke was mine.
I might use AI to edit, but that would be that's just by spelling and my punctuation because I still haven't gotten any better at that.
Yeah.
I use Word for that.
Just have that in your word processor.
We had no paragraphs. They always ran together. So there's that to learn how to do paragraphs.
It kept changing words on me. I always turn that stuff off so I can write myself.
Yeah, right.
I'd rather have a couple of typos in it anyway. So
yeah. Oh yeah. That happens.
Yeah.
All right. Other than that, find the books on Amazon. Do a Google search or whatever
find it everywhere else. Yeah.
Your browser, whatever browser you're using, and check them out. Find the books and give them a read. Anything else other than that?
No. Check us
out,
out.
Christine.
Read our books. Buy our books and tell everybody.
Don't forget about
yes.
Reach out too.
Check her art out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Christine Lowe. ChristineLoweArt.ca.
There you go. Christine Lowe Art. And Lowe is spelled Lowe.
Lowe, yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
Lowe. Christine, standard spelling, Christine.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Tamara, anything offhand?
No, just everybody have a great week and thanks so much for you guys coming on tonight. It's good seeing you. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Other than that, thanks to our sponsors, our friendly folks at addies.ca, Limestone City Hydroponics.ca, and the Camelford Lifestyle Shop. Also, big thanks to our guests, Christine Lowe and Russell Barth. Christine, I hope you're feeling better the rest of the night.
Thank you. Yeah, doing much better.
She doesn't even remember it.
No.
Good.
How?
You had a seizure when? Just about an hour ago? Okay.
Yeah.
We love you, Annie. We love you. It doesn't matter. We love you. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, exactly. All right. Other than that,
have a wonderful evening.
You too as well. Thank you to everybody, and good night. Talk to you next week.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Let's share PACE everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.